Gosh, guys, I'm so happy to be back. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I just posted like one picture from this past weekend, and this past week I was in Mexico, and I'm not gonna lie, I didn't love my trip in Mexico. First of all, the boys, so long story short, boyfriend caddies on the PGA Tour. PGA Tour was in Mayakoba, Mexico. I decided to go to this tournament because, one, I rarely ever see him, and two, I love watching golf, and if it's in a warm place, it's even better. So we were in Mexico and sadly did not make the cut. So that's a bummer from the week. But, man, like there's just something about Mexico that maybe it was just like bad timing, maybe it was just like I miss Indiana, but like I missed our first snowfall. And it made me sad. Like, I literally came home 2 hours ago. Not even, like an hour ago. And I'm looking, and there's, like, snow outside. And I'm like, I missed our first snowfall. And for me, that was sad. And some people would be like, I'd rather be in Mexico than at home where it's cold. I don't know what it is. Maybe I just missed the Midwest. But I did, and I missed it. But I'm really happy and excited to be back home. Like, I can't even tell you how happy I am that I don't have to hop on a flight for a long period of time. Because, one, normally, you know, on Mondays, I have, like, strategically planned lives where I'm like, this is the topic I'm gonna talk about, which I know what we're talking about. We're talking about base running and sliding, specifically. And then I have a question of the week that I'm gonna end with. But normally, I have, like, specific things that I have chosen for the day. But, you know, we're just gonna go with the flow today. We're literally going to go with the flow. I'm just going to talk from the heart, and we're just going to see how it goes, because I think that's the best way to do it, honestly. Man, we have 11 people on Facebook right now. Hey, guys, what's going on? I'm sipping coffee because we got home at like midnight last night, and so I haven't had my coffee yet today, so if I sip on it, but I hope you guys don't mind that I'm sipping on coffee as I'm coaching, but here we go. And let's go into it. So here's what I'm going to start with. If you specifically have base running or sliding questions that you want to ask me during this live, I want you to ask me in the comments, because like I said, today's kind of just going to be go with the flow type of day. So I want to be able to answer the specific questions that you guys have. Oh, Ronnie, I'm really sorry about your dad. That's really sad. But Ronnie, also, I know you had specific questions about sliding, and this was definitely the episode for you. So I'm going to try to answer as much as I can, and hopefully it'll bring insight to you. But this is where I get really excited about this topic, because base running can be a difference maker between a win and a loss. If you are constantly on the aggressive side when it comes to base running, and you are constantly taking bases that you see before, you know, most other people can see, you're going to score more runs. It's just plain and simple. You're going to advance to more bases, which overall will give you more runs. And I have literally won games, or teams that I've played on have literally won games based on good or bad, won or lost games based on good or bad base running. So today's going to be specifically about base running, but Ronnie wanted to know a little bit more about sliding. And so the way I choose these topics, by the way, is I go onto my SMASHTRIBE Facebook group, and I literally normally I give people 3 topics, and I'm like, hey, choose the topic of the week, like your favorite one, and we're going to make that our topic. And this week I actually said, what do you guys want? Like, you guys write in the comments what you guys want to hear, and then just like the one that you like the most. And this happened to be the topic of discussion this week. So that's why I'm super excited about it. Ronnie's asking how to and when to slide. Okay, so obviously I'm a person who has to be shown how to slide. Like, I didn't just magically figure out how to slide because someone told me how. I had to see people do it often for me to figure out how to do it. But I will tell you that obviously, just like anything, if you have never slid in your entire life and you're just going to jump into it and start sliding, I would definitely take some notes on some people that do it. One tip for advice when it comes to sliding is a lot of people are nervous to slide. And because of that, they slow down before they actually go into the slide. But I'm telling you right now, you will be less likely to get injured if you are at full speed when you go into your slide. And by the way, when you're at full speed and you're going into a slide, you are going to have more speed and more momentum going into that bag. And like I said, sliding, it's definitely one thing where you have to be able to develop confidence in it, and the way you do it is you slide more often. So if your team struggles with sliding, I would honestly put into your practice plan, like we're going to work on sliding 10 minutes every single practice until everybody's like just naturally doing it. There's a lot of, there's equipment that you can buy. I think it's called a Shut. I think Shut makes this, but it's a sliding, mat, and you can use it on gym floor, you can use it in the outfield in the grass, you can basically use it anywhere. But I would specifically, if base runners don't really know how to slide or they're not confident in sliding yet, slide on that thing over and over and over. We sometimes end camps with just sliding on that thing because that's how we get kids excited to slide. And that's how kids, and you make it almost like a game. Like, how fast can you run until you go into your slide? You're going to have a much smoother slide and a smoother transition into a pop slide, which is a totally another thing, but we teach that with our base runners here, is the more speed you have going into your slide, the better position you're going to be in. And I mean, that goes for basically even in the outfield. Like if you're going to dive for a ball, if you slow down before you go and catch the ball, you're less likely to catch it. But if you go in full speed and you go hard, you're probably going to be able to cover more ground, cover more distance if you do that. So that's just one thing that I would recommend is go on a sliding mat and get comfortable with it. Okay, so if your girls do not like to slide yet, have them slide on the mat, have them slide without cleats on, have them get used to that, and correct them on their form there. And here's where Ronnie's like, how do you slide? I will tell you that there are good ways to slide and there are bad ways to slide. If your athletes are sliding only on the side of their body, so let's say that they're turning and only sliding. I slide with my left butt cheek down. So if you're on that, you don't want to be sliding on your hip. You want to be sliding on your actual backside. Your actual backside has the most fat on it. Let's just say it how it is. That's going to be a less painful fall. Like, I don't want to say fall, but you are going to be able to absorb more energy if you're actually landing on your hip. So for me, my left leg, so let's see if I can do this. My left leg was straight. Nope. My left leg was turned in like a figure four and my right leg was straight. I felt like I had more, let's say, man, come on, words. Let's bring them. I felt like I had more touch. Like I could figure out how to take my right foot and put it where I wanted if my right foot was straight, and then my left leg, I had it almost like a figure four on the ground like this. That was where I was comfortably sliding. And with that, I'm putting more weight. Let's imagine this is my right or my left hip. More of my weight is going to hit the ground here. So that's where I actually ended up sliding. So I'm not sliding on like the entire side of my body and like reaching like this, but I went down with basically both hips into the ground. But I wanted to make sure that I was in this figure four position and I was not sitting straight up. This is another thing where like kids don't like to slide because they're sliding with their chest high instead of having their chest down. So just like anything, if you're running and then you all of a sudden decide you're going to just flop on the ground and your chest is going to be up, like no wonder why it's going to hurt your hip. Like when you're sliding, you need to be able to, one, you're reaching with one foot, your other foot's underneath in the figure four position, and if you have to teach them the figure four position without them running at all, might be a good idea. Have them get comfortable with the figure four. But you do not want to be sitting straight up or else you're putting all of your body weight into your hip. When you slide, you want to be like you're at top speed, and then once you kick your legs out from under you, you want to be in this position where you're almost parallel with the ground. Because like I said, if this is your chest like sitting straight up, you're putting all of your weight into the ground, and therefore you're going to stop straight into the ground. You don't want to stop straight into the ground on a slide. You want to keep moving. You want to see yourself glide across the dirt instead of land into it and then scuff up your hip. That's why we get strawberries, people. That's why you get strawberries on your hip. That's why you get strawberries on your, a lot of people get it on their shins because they're going too hard into their legs when they should be gliding. So that move, like I said, that mat would be perfect for you to work on to glide instead of land straight into the ground. Who's that? Sam. Hey, Sam. Sorry. I always want to say hi to people that are on here. Some other people, I'm going into a rant, so I'm going to answer another question. How and when to slide. Okay, so let's go into the when part. Now, this is the part where it's probably going to be less strategic, but more, I don't want to say strategic, it's probably more strategic, less cookie cutter. There's no cookie cutter thing to anything of softball. There's no cookie cutter swing, there's no cookie cutter pitch. Like, everybody is different sizes, different speeds, different XYZ, add whatever you want. But when to slide is a very, very broad question, Ronnie. So let's just go plain and simple into when we're gonna slide. So obviously let's start with, you're at first base and you're stealing into second, okay? You're always going in knowing you're gonna slide. If you're stealing, you're always going in that you're going to slide. The only time you do not slide is if you see the actual person that's supposed to be catching the ball walk away or veer from the bag, okay? That's when you kind of know that path that you're running, you're not going to get tagged. And here's where some teams might throw in a trick play. They might try to have the second baseman cover instead of the shortstop. You have to be able to understand what's going on in defense for you to decide whether you're going to slide or not. But just rule of thumb, you're stealing, you're always in slide mode. Always, always, always in slide mode. It should never veer from that until you actually see what's happening in front of you. The only times where I did not slide were when, like I said, the person who was catching it, maybe the throw was off and it took them like way past second, like almost into like left field. If they're veering from the bag that much, I don't need to slide, right? I'm not trying to avoid a tag. I'm not trying to get to the bag fast. I'm actually probably going to try to read the next play if that's the case. So that was the only time that I didn't slide. And let's say the other time that I didn't slide was probably, if I noticed that the catch was being caught. So a lot of times if it's like a first and third play, maybe the second baseman comes in and catches the ball halfway between the pitcher and the bag. If that's something that's going on, which is a little more advanced in softball, if the second baseman caught it way in front of the bag because there's a runner at third, then I don't have to slide either. Times where I will always slide no matter what, and what we actually teach our runners here is you always slide if it is a sack bunt. Okay, and you're always, always, always sliding because sometimes you can't see specifically where the bunt went. And if that defense was on that bunt and they receive it quick and you didn't get a good jump and you're not, and they notice that you're kind of lagging getting to second and they throw to second and they get you out, that's like the biggest momentum changer in a game. Is when your hitter is trying to advance you and you screw it up by not sliding. You get to the bag faster when you slide, especially if you're stopping at the bag. So like, I don't think anybody should ever run or slide into first because you're actually at full speed and you're going through the bag. Does that make sense? You should never slide into first because at full speed, you're actually slowing yourself down slightly to go into a slide instead of just picking up at full speed and running past the bag. But at second or third, like you're trying to stop at the bag. You're not trying to run through the bag. So in that situation, if you're supposed to stop at second or stop at third and there's a bunt, you should always, always, always be sliding going into that bag. So just in case they throw it to your bag, you're not going to get out. And I'm not going to say this is always a thing. Like sometimes they do get the ball fast. Like the one bunting it definitely hit it to him like a line drive or a hard ground ball and they could get you the advanced runner. But don't let them, as the runner that's going into second, don't let them get you. Don't let them attack you. Don't let yourself get out in that situation because that's the last thing that your team wants. Okay, so get a good jump. You know she's bunting anyway. Get a really good jump, and then know that if it's in the air, if it's popped up, you gotta get back. But if you can see the downward angle of that ball off the bat and you know it's going into the ground, you should already be a step ahead and going into second. Always, always slide into second on a bunt. I would say always, always slide into third on a bunt as well. Do not be the lead out. That's like the mission. So always slide in that situation. Other moments where you can slide, let's kind of veer away from stealing for a second. Well, actually, I want to say one more thing about that. One thing that made me a really good base runner was I was able to see what was in front of me and dominate the situation. So let's say that the person catching it was catching it in front of the bag. So let's see. Let's just imagine this. So there's a plate, there's a bag, and I'm running into it. My goal as a base runner was always to run on the outer part of the bag, so the furthest away from the catcher as possible. That's where I wanted to touch first. Not first base, but that's the part of the bag I wanted to touch first, was the right side, the furthest away from the catcher, because the ball's coming from the catcher. So when I was sliding, I wanted to make sure that I was getting the right side of the bag, because that would take the ball actually coming to me a little bit longer to get to me. Also, if the person that was catching it way in front of the bag, absolutely I need you on this right side of the bag. There's also this thing called a hook slide. I don't want to know. Let's just go advanced today. Let's see. We probably have some very new base runners. We probably have some more advanced base runners. Let's talk on the advanced side just for a second, in case any of you guys are doing that. I know some people on here, especially your daughters, might need this. But a hook slide is basically a slide where you're not touching the bag with your feet first. You're touching the bag with your hand, but your feet are going first. Though I love the hook slide, and I was very good at it because I was able to read the play in front of me, like I said. Like if it was one where I had to get to the bag first, and I knew it was going to be a close play, I always went with my feet first. That's always where I touched it. Because that's the fastest way for you to get to the bag, right? Is if you go feet first. But these are ones where if the ball is thrown maybe a little bit towards the third base side of the bag, and I could dodge a tag with avoiding it with my feet and going in with my hands, I was in a good spot. I didn't always hook slide. I didn't always dive head first. I had to read the play that was coming. And I didn't really dive head first very often. I know a lot of people that love to dive head first. I didn't specifically love it. I felt like I was a little bit slower going head first, and I busted up my knee my senior year, so I just stopped going in head first in general. But I always did either a slide right into the bag because I knew it was going to be a close play. If it's a close play, you're going straight in. If it's one of those where you want to be able to dodge a tag because the tag got there before you did, or the ball got there before you did, I would always hook slide, because there's sometimes the person tagging you can get a little distracted thinking that you're going to come straight into the bag, and then you don't. They go for your feet, but then you reach with your hand. I got really good at that one. So if the ball beats you there and you're going to be out if you go feet first, try the hook slide, because for me it worked a lot. And like I said, the hook slide is basically you're sliding a little bit later than you normally would, and you're sliding to the right of the bag, okay? So you're sliding to the right of the bag, and you're reaching for the bag with your left hand because you're dodging a tag. You have to be able to read it. This is why Javi Baez gets all this notoriety on in the MLB, and he gets all these videos taken of him because he's so smart. He hook slides a lot, and he's able to miss the tag and then touch the bag with his hand because he's seeing what's happening in front of him. That's where I felt like I had an advantage as a base runner, is because I could see things happening in front of me. So if it's a close play, go straight in. If it's a play where the ball gets there way before you do, try the hook slide, try to get around that tag. I definitely am just going so hard into this, but Ronnie, just the fact that this was such a broad question, I want to be able to, get all of it. Same thing when you're going to third. If it's a close play, go straight in. If it's if the ball beats you there, try the hook slide, try to get around it somehow. But sliding into home, never, this is rule of thumb, if you only take one thing away from today, never, ever, ever, ever go into home head first. Never. It is your life. And I'm going to say this I'm going to say this loud. Your life is not the catcher is wearing so much gear. She is in armor. All you have is a helmet. If you go in head first into someone with armor, you will likely hurt yourself into a way where you could get seriously injured and maybe never ever play this game again. This is why I'm getting so loud about this, because you should never, ever, ever slide head first into home. I did it on accident once and pretty much broke my thumb. And that's a whole other story, but do not go into home head first, ever. You can dodge tags, you can do hook slides. I did a lot of hook slides at home. Scored a lot of runs doing that. But do not, like, promise me you will teach your players or maybe instill it to them. If anybody goes in head first, you stop the game and you talk to your team and you say, this is never happening again. Your life is not, like, worth doing that. Like, you will hurt yourself. Like, the odds of you hurting yourself versus not are so much higher. So do not go into home sliding head first. Got it? Got it? Good, whatever. Okay, slide head first. Or don't slide head first going into home. Okay, I just wanted to make that known. Okay, Steve wants to know about delayed steals. Great question. I'm going to get some coffee so I can kind of like breathe for a second. Okay. Okay, by the way, my mug says today is your day. I always whip it out when I'm a little tired. Like, travel days are hard days, so I'm a little tired today. So today's my day. That's my mug. Let's talk about delayed steal. Okay, this is another thing where I absolutely love delayed stealing because I was reading the pitcher and the catcher, okay? Let's say a pitcher in a game has just walked 2 people in a row and you were the first person she walked, you're standing at second, she walked another person and she's at first, and you can tell this pitcher is kind of razzled. She's kind of mad. She's either mad at the umpire, she's mad at herself, she's mad at her catcher, she can be mad at anybody. The pitcher's energy is mad and it's going to someone else, or maybe it's her coach, who knows. But if that pitcher's mad, this might be the time where you can just take a base and make her even more mad. I did this all the time. But if a pitcher is frustrated and she's showing her anger, you as a base runner, you want to apply the pressure to, 1, either make her more angry, or 2, go take bags whenever they're open. So let's say you're standing at second and you notice this pitcher is like not thinking about you at all, and she's focusing on either throwing it right up the middle, or dad's making her mad in the not the dugout, but the like where all the parents are. He's making her mad, or the catcher and her are like getting in an argument. This happens, guys. It's the game of softball. It's a frustrating game. But if you notice that she's frazzled or she's focused on something else, you are likely going to be able to take a bag. But here's the thing, you gotta know when to do it. So you should, every single time you go off the bag, you should be going at 100%, okay? That's like non-negotiable. Every single time, whether you don't know if your batter's swinging, like if it's not a hit and run, still 100%. If they're bunting, still 100%. If you are just trying to read the play, you should always go off at 100%, because if you, let's go back to stealing for a second. If you only go off at 100% when you're stealing, you are obviously stealing. You are obviously stealing. And that catcher will most likely know it and throw you out. But if you're going off at 100% every time, this is where you can get away with some fun stuff. So go off at 100%. Let's imagine you're at second, taking a 100% lead, and you know that pitcher's not thinking about you at all. You can likely, as soon as the catcher is like just throwing it, you know when they're throwing it hard or just nice and easy back to the pitcher, as soon as she makes the commitment to throw it nice and easy back to the pitcher, that's your go. And when I say go, it's not like oh, I'm going to think about it and then go. No. Like, it's like green light, 100% you're going into the next bag. Here's the thing, though. A lot of people, I'm going to say this right now, a lot of people, I'm going to tell you this, and you're not going to try it because you're nervous. You don't know if it's going to work. Okay? So here's the thing. What is practice for? It's to try these things. What is a game where you're up by 10 for? To practice new things. What is a game where nothing is working out for your team and you need some sort of a spark or a type of pick-me-up to be able to bring some energy to your team? It's this type of stuff. It's stuff where nobody sees it coming and you are thinking about how to take the next bag and do it. That could be a momentum changer. So, and also try these things often. Like, and that's the thing. The more times you try it, the more you're learning from the entire situation. And maybe you got out one time and you realized, I got a late jump. Okay, you were out by a step, you got a late jump. If you got a better jump, you probably would have been safe. You just learned from that mistake. So I want you to be able to make errors. That's the thing. Like, I want you to mess up, but not in a game where it's like a nail biter and you're only like, you're tied or down by 1 and you are that important on the bag. Now's probably not the time to try it. But if you see an opportunity, almost 99% of the time, I would say take it. I think with my aggressive base running, I probably got out, let's just say, probably 1 out of every 10 times, maybe not, at first at least. And so like that one time, I made sure it was a situation where it wasn't a make or break play. It was one of those where I thought I saw something and then I got out and I owned it and I went on to the next one. Which, by the way, coaches, if you are coaching your athletes and they do make an aggressive mistake like that, now's not the time to discourage them. Now's the time to encourage them. Say, hey, I love it. I love the fact that you're being aggressive. And if you saw something where they could learn from it, now's your time to teach them and coach them. But that is not the time to discourage them, because if my coaches told me when I got out that 1 out of every 10 times I stole or whatever, I would not steal as much. Therefore, our team would not score as much. Does that make sense? So just make sure that you're encouraging them. And even when they make mistakes, be like, hey, I love how aggressive you were. Maybe we look for this next time. So that's a way where you can encourage your base runners to do this instead of make them hold back and be like, if coach is going to get mad at me, I'm not going to steal. That's how we work. That's how at least females athletes work, because that's what I did. I was always encouraged to steal. There was one time my coach got really mad at me, but it was a nail biter game, so he had a reason to get mad at me. But other than that, err on the side of aggressiveness. I would definitely take note of that. Sorry, I need to check the time because we have practice coming up soon. Okay, we're gonna have to wrap this up pretty soon. But this is so much fun talking about stealing, like so much fun. But hopefully, Steve, that answered your question about delayed stealing. Always just understand the pitcher-catcher relationship. Like if they're fighting or they're out of the circle, you just have to be able to look for things and know what you're looking for. So let's say you're at first. This actually just happened to us this fall. Let's say you're at first base and you notice the pitcher walks out of the circle before she comes back in and pitches. As soon as that pitcher is out of the circle, if she's out of the circle and not thinking about you at all, there's something that you can look for to take your next base. Because the base runner that was actually against us saw that our pitcher was out of the circle, her focus was on the next batter, and then the girl at first just took second and nobody saw it coming. So these are the things that if you're going to be an aggressive base runner, which I highly recommend, no matter if you're fast or not, if you're aggressive and you can see things, you can take advantage of bases, okay, that are basically being handed to you on a silver platter. You just got to know it. So always just look for the little things like that. God, I love base running. I could talk about it for days. Haley Thompson, listen to this, please. I hope that if you guys know people that want to be more aggressive base runners and need to hear this stuff, like Instagram, you can't really share this, but like take a screenshot and like send it to someone and be like, watch this video. Same thing on Facebook. You guys can actually share this live after I do it. So if this is like resonating with you, please send this to your teams, because this is where I think a lot of softball players, they aren't aggressive on the bases because, one, they don't know how to be aggressive on the bases, and they don't really know what they're looking for. So again, if you guys have, I just want to make sure I got all the questions answered. How to slide into each base, I pretty much answered that. Running bases strategies. Okay. Ronnie, your questions are so good. Okay, so I think the best strategy that I can give you today, I'm probably going to end with this. I'm going to put an asterisk on it too, because that's how much it means to me. But as a base runner, the reason why I was so successful was because I was always looking for an opportunity to take another bag. Like, it was always on my mind. Like, even if I went and got a hit at home plate, I got a hit, maybe it was an easy single, I was looking to see if I can get a double somehow out of it. When I got a double, I was looking to see, can I get to third? Can I get to third? So I always had the next base as my mentality as a base runner. So when I was at first, I was always looking for not just to get second, but to get third. Like, if there was a hit, my mission is to try to get 2 bags. And so if you're going to be a base runner and you want more strategies, Ronnie, and I don't know if it's for your daughter or maybe your daughter's team, always look to not just say 1 bag, but another one, like 2 bags. Like, find a way to stretch how many bags you can get to. Like, if I had a hit that was in a gap, let's say I had a line drive to right center, like right in between those defenders, in my mind, I was like, I'm getting to third, I'm getting to third. And the only thing that would stop me would be my coach telling me to stop before I got to second. But if you're thinking 2 bags ahead, 1, you're going to run faster because that's your mission. It's not just 1 and done. But 2, it's actually funny. My old teammate Gina just came on Instagram. Gina probably has like no idea that I'm about to call her out. But she can probably attest to my base running. Like I was always trying to find another bag. And like I said, after a hit, I'm trying to see if I can get not just to first, but to second. Let's say, this is one of my favorite things to do, and I did it all the time, but because I was always looking to get another bag, there were some times where I would slap, or I'd get like some sort of base hit to the left side of the field, because I'm left-handed, which is kind of far away from second. I'm just going to throw that out there. If I get to first, or before I get to first, I notice that the left fielder bobbled it in any sort of way, I was going to 2. Always. I was going to 2. And there were probably like a couple situations where I didn't, because maybe she picked it up quick. But she's already frazzled that she bobbled it. And then you're going to add to the little frazzle and go take second. You're going to freak her out. She's likely not going to have a great throw. So you have to just try things. You have to try to advance to other bases to see if you can do it. I guarantee you there were times where I tried to do that and it didn't work because the girl in left field was better than I gave her credit for. But I wouldn't know if I can take these bags unless I went for it. So stop being so scared to take bags and go do it, and err on the side of aggressiveness. And coaches that I know that are on here, do not get mad at your kids that are erring on the side of aggressiveness, unless it's like a nail break, really tight game or something. Like that's where we should probably simmer down a little bit. That's where I made a few mistakes in my career. I can definitely attest to that. But erring on the side of aggressiveness is something that our head coach here she's encouraging it. She's like, if you're going to get out, you better be aggressive on it. If you're going to get out, you better not be timid. You better not be stupid. But stupid as in getting picked at first base. Like that's something that you can control. You should never be picked at first base. You can always draw a throw, but you should always be able to get back. You should always be, man, we're just going into all the base running. You should always be on the lead, a step and a dive away from the bag. Because if you're a step and a dive away and you see that ball's coming, step and a dive, you should be back. But if you're caught like at your bag, like and get picked off at a bag, that's on the base runner. Okay, that's where as a coach, like yes, you can get on your kids for doing that because they weren't mentally focused or in that play. They took a ball off apparently, and the catcher knew it. That's where that's not erring on the side of aggressiveness. That's just not being present. So those are situations. Hopefully you guys have like an idea of what aggressive base running is and what not so great base running is. And hopefully this helped you. Okay, I want to answer this one question just because I love talking about base running. James said, I have heard coaching from first to second coach differently when a fly ball was hit to right field. I have heard to tag up to run on the catch throw. Then I have heard to go halfway facing the outfielder and wait on the ball to be caught or dropped so that you can take third if they drop it. Okay, great question. And this is one of those things where, again, this game is not cookie cutter. Like, this game is not, okay, fly ball to right, you're definitely doing this. That's not what it is. You have to be able to read what's happening. So if it's a ball, let's say exactly your situation, James, you're standing at first and there's a deep, like I mean deep fly ball to right field. Deep, 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 very deep. But it's one where she can likely catch it. Like let's say they're starting deep, but she can likely catch it. That's a situation where, again, you need to know like the strength of the right fielder's arm, probably. But again, if it's a youth league, if like you're younger, like that throw might not be able to get there on a fly. If that throw will need a cutoff before it can be made, you probably have time to tag there and take second. So if it's a deep ball, they're sitting under it, and you know that throw will not beat you to second, that's a good one to tag on. Great question. If it's, let's say, just a nice and easy pop-up, like the girl in right field is just sitting underneath it, and like the only way you would have to go to second is if she like frantically dropped it. Like, yeah, you want to be a couple steps off the bag, like if she drops it, like hightail to second. But that's one of those where if you know it's going to be caught, you can kind of chill a little bit closer to first base. But if it's one of those where it's a great hit and the outfielder has to make some fantastic play to get the out, you should be pretty close to second. I don't want to say pretty close to second. It's always a gauge. Again, if they're coming in on the ball, you cannot leave the bag too far. But if they're going away from you, if the outfielders are going away from you, you can get off that bag more and more and more. I always made it pretty close. Like if it's a play where a right fielder was like diving for a ball in right center and she was going away from me, I was creeping to second, because if she drops it, I'm like 2 steps from second. So then yes, I could take third, James. So like that's one of those where like the outfielders are going away from me, I am taking more steps off the bag, because the odds of them making that amazing play and then chucking it to first and getting me out are so slim. And again, I have made mistakes where like I got off too far and I got out. Like I had to learn my lesson by doing that. But everybody's different. Everybody knows their speed. So you always have to be able to get far enough to where they do make a play, you can still get back. So I would say be a little bit more aggressive with that, because a lot of girls, they just chill at first and the ball's dropped and they're like, oops, I can't get second now, because they're not looking to take other bags. You always, again, want to look to take other bags, but in that situation, you need to be able to get back. So I would say get as far off as you can, and you can get even further if the ball's in left field, because that's a long throw, people. You can get even further off the bag when it's in left field, but you always want to be able to make sure you can get back to your bag if you have to. But if you can, take the base in front of you and then possibly the second one too. If the girl, last tip I'll give with that, if the girl is diving for the ball, take some more steps off the bag. Because in order for her to throw you out, she has to be able to get up and make a throw. And by then, if it's caught, your instinct has to be revert back, 100%, get back, get back, get back. But you have to be able to read things as they happen. So if the ball magically finds the way into her glove, as soon as it's in her glove, you better get back. But if the ball comes out, that's like the 100% instinct to go to the next bag, maybe another. So I hopefully that helped you, James, with that question. It's a very, very hard question to answer, because every single ball that's hit is going to be different. So I would say definitely if you're going to run a practice and like work on this type of stuff, have a full outfield there and have the rest of the team on the bases. Okay, well maybe, and then like people at first or second to like catch the ball if they have to. But then just have the base runners read things. They should always be trying to get to the next bag, but again, like if it's one of those where the girl's a sitting duck, like yeah, you probably can't get off too far, but I always went about halfway or just far enough to where if she did catch it and try to throw it, she couldn't get me out. So hopefully that was some pretty good advice for you, James. I love base running so much. And because I answered a bunch of questions today, and because it's already 1:40 and we have practice at 2:30, I gotta run. But I was planning on answering a question of the week, but honestly, since you guys were asking questions the whole time, I think I was able to hopefully help the people that are watching. But if you guys have any other further questions of any sort of aspect of softball, send me a DM on Facebook or Instagram, and I will likely get to it in one of my live shows and probably get back to you as well, like in real time. But because you guys have these questions, that's why I wanted to answer these questions here. Thanks so much for hopping on here. I don't even know, there's still a lot of people on here. I hope you have a great rest of your week. It is Monday. I'm tired, I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna make a delicious meal tonight and go straight to bed so I can get up for practice tomorrow morning. But find a way to work on something that you're struggling with right now. For me, I mean, there's a lot of things that I'm struggling with and I can just be an open book about it, but I'm definitely going to tackle the week a little differently than I normally do, because when it comes to time management for me, I need help. And I would have thought that college athletics would have helped me with that. And it did for like a long period of time, but as soon as I was off of that, I got a little less organizational. So I'm going to be organizing my week in a different way, and it's going to make me a little bit uncomfortable doing it. But that's my goal for the week, is to become better with my organization. I hope you guys find something that you know that you may struggle with a little bit that you can tackle right now today, and then by the end of the week feel a little bit better about it. I want to challenge you to do that today. Okay, I'll see you guys later. See you guys next week. Again, if you guys want to know what next week's topic's going to be, you can actually vote for that topic on the hashtag SMASHTRIBE Facebook group. You can get there through Ashley Burkhart Training on Facebook. So if you want to know what next week's topic's going to be, you can actually decide what the next topic's going to be on there. And with that, I'll see you guys next week, probably at 1 p.m. again, because I think we have practice earlier in the day, which is why we're here now. But that's where you can do that. We do have availability for hitting academies at Notre Dame. DM me if you want information on that. That's this week. Starting tomorrow, we have spots Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then there's, I think, Monday, Tuesday next week before Thanksgiving. We will have hitting academies run by moi. Okay, I'll see you guys later. Have an amazing week. Again, challenge yourself to work on something that you don't really want to work on, but you know you'll be better because of it. Okay, bye guys.